Sometimes husbands choose to stay with their narcissistic spouse because of the children. The gamble of losing full custody of your kids is not worth it. The fear is there. And a lot of people put their hands in the air and say, "How could you do that? Leave, divorce that narcissist." Well, there's a good reason that some husbands stay with the narcissistic wife. And it's because if the wife is being abusive right there in the home while the husband is there, what do you think's going to happen when he divorces her and the kids are alone with her 50% of the time? In a lot of ways, that might be even worse. And that's why a lot of husbands stay with the narcissistic spouse while the children are young, because they don't want to leave the children alone with the abuser. And a lot of people will say, there are places you can go, things you can do. Well, no, that's not always the case. Because if, let's say, the husband does not have any evidence to prove that his wife is a narcissistic abuser, if there's no evidence and the children are very young and cannot tell the judge or anyone else what's happening, that limits the husband's options. It's even riskier for a man who's married to a narcissistic woman, because in a lot of countries and a lot of states, there's a higher probability of a narcissistic wife not just getting 50-50 custody of the kids, but full custody. And there's something else to take into consideration when you see this happening and you're thinking, I'm so confused, like what's wrong with this person? Why aren't they getting divorced? If you are divorcing a sociopath or a narcissistic wife, well, chances are they're not going to have a problem breaking the law and making stuff up about the spouse who's about to divorce them. Meaning that there's a chance that a husband could start the divorce process with a narcissistic wife and show up in court and find out there's all of this illegal evidence against him, and he could lose full custody of his child or children. That is a big risk to take when there are children involved. This is not a black and white issue. This is a very complicated issue, and the priority is keeping children safe. And that's why a lot of people stay married. And I'm not talking about severe cases of abuse. I'm talking about narcissistic abusers who are the covert, passive-aggressive, emotional, verbal abusers. I'm talking about situations like that. If you're married to a narcissistic wife who is punching your children and hitting your children, then, my God, call the police. You can see in situations where someone would stay in the marriage while the children are young, or at least until they have some evidence against the abuser. And the next time someone is playing the judgment card with you or someone you know about why are they still married to that narcissistic wife, ask them if they'd like to help the spouse hire the best attorney in town. So a lot of people have a lot to say about how other people are dealing with a narcissistic abuser, but they're not really willing to offer that person money or any sort of help. So just be aware of people who try to throw a lot of guilt out towards targets of narcissistic abuse, because frankly, I think that they should put their wallet where their mouth is. hopefully you get what I'm saying. I am not saying that people should stay with narcissistic abusers when kids are involved. I'm just saying that it is a complicated issue. And instead of throwing out guilt and judgment, I think that empathy, compassion, understanding, and taking action to help is where the focus needs to be. Talk is cheap. Think twice about taking advice from people who spout a lot of words but provide zero action.